And Finland has a new movement. So they want to get rid of Swedish in the system. They call it the new party just getting called the True Finns. The True Finns party. They want to get rid of it. I mean, Finland is already very monolingual. You think that learning not more languages, but again, it's by necessity. So that's why the U.S. as a monolingual, we struggle through all the process. But in general, we did not have government agencies like the French to clean up its language. In China, they have government agencies to clean the language. If you write in a different way, you get criticized. You can get fined if you do it on a different science. So we do not have those things. So in that way, I think we have a more laissez-faire approach. Another we talk about religion, there's so many different denominations. So when we look at different problems we have to understand. Like someone said, democracy is the worst form of government except all others. You ever think of the same way? We may be the worst, but except all other systems. It's very interesting. We have a long way to go. A long way to go. But so far it's pretty good. However, what I worry is the destruction. We try to fix this achievement gap, ignoring what we might have. I mean, by and large, if you look at, a lot of us are still allowed to preserve another language. But I wish we could offer more bilingual programs. Someone was asking me, how do you solve the problem? I said, if we make one little requirement, I said, everybody should graduate with 2 languages. The English language learners suddenly have an advantage. Psychological advantage. They don't have to solve the problem anymore, right? That changes the whole kind of scale, changes. Other? Yes, please. You're behind the camera. Did you really listen to me?
I was. But can you repeat what you said about cutting off the head of the starfish? Because I was changing tape.
There's actually a book, a guy wrote a book about this. Starfish versus spiders. It's written about saying that. The starfish, it's hard to kill a starfish because it's a decentralized system, it's distributed. And the centralized system, like spider, is more powerful, seems to be more efficient, you can cut it off. That's why the difference between democracy and dictatorship. That's basically. Dictatorship can be very efficient, it looks like. But both in terms of being constructive and destructive, depending on where you want to go. Democracy is lousy, it's very inefficient, it's nasty. But it's great, the results is distributed, it's negotiated, every interest is balanced, So nobody wants to say, okay, yeah, I'm better than you. That's why a lot of systems can help and change that. We get very impatient with democracy. But really, if you study history, if you live in different countries, you will know, you will appreciate. This thing is actually pretty darn good. Yes, please.
Well, I'm one of your biggest fans.
Oh, thank you.
But one of the things that has troubled me a little bit about both what you said in your book and what you just said now is about bringing teachers from other countries to teach language and culture.
Yes.
And, we've had lots of experiences in California with guest teacher programs from Spain. They have had mixed results.
That's right.
They haven't been, as effective as we would hope them to be, and they present different challenges. So maybe you could expand on why you think that is an effective approach.
Well, first of all, the teacher quality depends on a lot of things. I don't think the nationality or experience necessarily is the defining factor. Another thing you want to say, I don't know what based on what study, you have 2 different ways of doing this thing. So I would say, if it's done right, it can work well. For example, Chinese language, actually Professor Liu knows that Hanban, Chinese government sends out free, almost free teachers. I advise schools not to take any of them. It's on tape, don't send to Hanban. It's off the record, okay. I advise because, first of all, how they're selected. Most of them are college professors of English who have no experience teaching Chinese, actually teaching much kids at all. And the second, they have no motivation. They're here for them as a study abroad for them, not to teach here. And they're here mostly for 1 year, maximum 2 years. So that's the first half year they're crying because they want to get used to it. The second half year they're crying because they have to leave. They just got used to it. So they don't really have much training in those things. I don't think guest programs like work. The There's no commitment. But that's why when our school, the Michigan State University, I was there, I designed a different program. I said, I want people coming here, they have to be pre-trained in China for 1 year, and they come here to have a summer of study, internship, here with our camps, summer camps. They're enrolled at the same time in the master's program of Michigan State University and getting licensed. So when they come in the summer, they'll be trained by Michigan State University professors, and then they go out to schools. They have to stay in schools for 3 years, and when they're in schools, they're supervised both by the Confucius Institute staff and professors of teacher education on the university. So that's how you go through this. The reason I want them to be here is, of course, if you can immigrant people, that would be great. You don't have to. What I like is I want them to be a piece of authentic culture. I want them to teach the Chinese way, actually, which I explain them. Just do, the collective approach, because I want the children to experience the discomfort of handling another culture. I think a lot of times, to deal with another culture is not easy. We should not make it just like eating chocolate. Oh, it's great. I think we gloss over a lot of cultural issues in our classrooms. We just, we like each other, no problem, we don't. Right, if you think about it. Like, I love that people talk about different religions. We love each other, religions. Religions are supposed to be not liking each other. That's why we have different religions. If you not like each other, why do we have different religions? You're on Christian, you have even so many denominations, right? For God's sake, you have different views on this. And if you look, as far as I read, God is a jealous God, right? You're supposed to only like me. How can you like the other guy? You can't do it. So you have to deal with this issue that what I take it as. So I want the children to accept those things, to say, we are different. I'd rather get rid of you, but I can't, so I have to be like you. That's basically the idea. I can't meet up with that. I really want kids to go through this very uncomfortable situation. So, but when they're young, it's easier for them to deal with. So they actually can have two different cultural frameworks existing in their mind. That I may not like it, I will take it. I don't judge it. Like for example, now I really think I'm multicultural. I can be any place and hang out with anybody, do whatever they like. I say, that's enjoyable, that's fine. I'll be in South America, hang out. I don't even speak the language. I can hang out with those taxi drivers in Brazil. I can do all this. I go back to China, I'll be Chinese. It's very interesting. That's how. But you have to grow up like that. By the way, speaking of CQ, cultural intelligence, it's a lot of research in this. CQ is a concept evolved from business schools. A lot like Harvard, a lot of business schools today will teach executive MBAs. Cultural intelligence is one of the major elements because they all become global executives. How can you do it if you don't have CQ? So they have measured this. But one of the indicators, how do you become more culturally intelligent? This is something funny, is it? A lot of short trips overseas. Short trips overseas. See, that's the same thing as, that's culture encounters. Because it's short, so you have to be fresh every time you have to deal with this thing. If you live there for 50 years, it doesn't count. You have to be short. And the second thing is, countries matter too. Which country you go to. I've found people coming back from China, Americans, to come back and tell me, that's a life-changing experience. Life-changing experience. I've never heard anyone coming back from Canada telling me that. That's a life-changing experience. So when you think about language, where you go, it matters. Those kind of things. So that's the reason I want to bring something that's dramatically different, but we need to explain to the parents this is different ways. I believe the way we teach is very culturally embedded. So that represents our way of handling things. Anyway, that's why I want to bring it. Okay. Now, have you still have a problem? We can take this out.
I don't want to belabor the point, but...
Okay, but I can convince you to take another hour.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Thank you so much.